Good evening. Welcome to the Kirtland City Council meeting, Monday, November 20th, 2023. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. Ms. Raleigh, roll call, please.
Mr. Lowry,
Here.
Mr. Scholes,
Here.
Mr. Smolik,
Here.
Mr. Ziegler,
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Here.
Ms. Grazia,
Here.
Mr. Hamer,
Here.
Okay, on to the reading and approval of minutes of November 8th, 2023 work session. The motion?
Motion. Second.
Who motioned? Susan, okay. Speaking of the mic.
10%.
And on.
We were casting.
Okay. Any questions? Changes? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Abstain.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Okay, on to the reading and approval of the minutes of November 8th, 2023 council meeting. Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any questions, changes? Ms. Raleigh?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Abstain.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Okay, on to the department reports. Chief Hutton.
Thank you, Mr. Smolik. I have no formal report tonight. I would like to report our new pickup truck should be in service by Wednesday. I'd like to thank Captain Catania. Tony Catania has done a lot of work getting that ready. He'll be in doing some work. Hopefully it should be ready by Wednesday. So you should see that out on the road. Another note, our 2018 Rosenbauer engine, which is our newest fire engine, is out for paint. They're painting it under warranty. They're going to fully repaint the vehicle, the 2018 for us. We had some blistering of the paint, and they decided they would take care of that. I'm sure you saw last week the incident over in Mentor with the active shooter situation. We were very involved in that. We were one of the first mutual aid squads on scene. Lake County is amazing, the way the departments work together. And I can't say enough about police and fire, the response, and just the way all the fire departments and the officers work together. So other than that, I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Chief Hutton. Any questions for Chief Hutton? Thanks, Chief. Chief McAllister.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. I don't have a formal report tonight, but I am open for any questions if you have anything.
Any questions for Chief McAllister? Thank you, Chief. Mr. Fernaro.
Good evening, everybody. Our crew's worked on wrapping up our fall brush pickup. We started, the holiday lights are installed, waiting to be lit up. And that completes my report. And we're getting ready for snow, actually. Snow and ice, everyone's working on snow and ice.
Thank you, Mr. Fernaro. Any questions for Mr. Fernaro? Mr. Fernaro, thank you very much for the constant updates on the road work also to council, as we step through that all year. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Mr. Courtney.
You. No formal report tonight. I will mention that Crestwood is completed from Oakwood to the south cul-de-sac with the exception of berms. So that should wrap up the paving for this year. And I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Courtney. Any questions for Mr. Courtney? I did drive down Crestwood Saturday. Looked very good. Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Slapnicker.
Good evening, Council President. First and foremost, thank you guys for taking my call last Wednesday, I believe it was, and getting that health insurance legislation passed. We did have industrial appraisals on site over the last 2 weeks. They're working on the report. I have some outstanding items, questions that I need to get back to them on. We do have our property insurance quotes to be coming in hopefully this week, but with the holiday, most likely going to see that quote next week. So that will also be in front of council in December. Mrs. Ari and I submitted the 2024 senior levy application, so we'll wait to hear back on that. Upcoming legislation in December as well. We'll have the temporary 2024 budget in addition to the final amendment. In talking about amendments, actually Finance has 4 items of legislation on the agenda this evening. To quickly go over those, the first is to create Fund 214. And that is in regards to the fire grant that council had authorized at the last meeting. We also have an amended appropriation. I can go over those line item details that you all received last week. I could do that now, or we can wait to the legislation. We also have the resolution requesting the county auditor to make advance payments of taxes. Again, a couple years ago, the county has required us to submit legislation to receive those advanced property taxes. This is necessary for our operations into the first quarter of the following year to receive those dollars. Lastly, it's been a staple every year for an ordinance designating financial institutions as public depositories. Last year, we had actually increased the amount on that legislation from $5 million to $7.5 million. That had to do with the fund balances that we were carrying with all of the ARPA dollars and all of that. In addition to that, you'll see multiple banks being listed in that legislation. The city only has 2 accounts, one with Huntington and one with Star Ohio. The other banks are listed in there just as a result in case we were to do business with those other banks at any point. Okay, but right now we only do business with Huntington and Star Ohio. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Slapnicker. You looking to have those 4 passed today?
Yes, please.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Slapnicker? None at this time. On to Mr. Lallo.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I don't have too much to offer today. I know we did meet in an executive session to discuss collective bargaining. It's my understanding that there is a tentative agreement with us and one of the bargaining units over at the police department that will likely be on the next regular agenda for council. I do still have to negotiate with the fire department as well. As past practices have been, we would negotiate with one of the unions first. Whenever that is completed, then we go over to that other department. So now that the police department is tentatively done, now we can move forward and start negotiating with the fire department. And if there are any developments with that department, I will, discuss that with council in executive session. Aside from that, I don't have too much to offer at this point, unless you have other questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Lallo. Any questions for Mr. Lallo? Thank you. Ms. Zeri, any updates for Community Center, Senior Center?
Good evening and happy early Thanksgiving to everybody. Since we last met, just a few words of thanks. We had our Veterans Day lunch on Thursday the 9th. We had about 60 to 70 people join us at the community center, and appreciate everyone who supported our veterans during that week, as well as on Service Day. We probably had close to 75 volunteers that came out to do 24 yards of veterans and seniors around the city. Obviously, as always, special thanks to Mr. Fernar for joining us, Mr. Smolik for joining us, and the rest of our team leads. So I know how appreciative all of the seniors were, and I've gotten several notes. As we've mentioned before, coming up tomorrow night is our annual prayer service of Thanksgiving with area churches and civic groups at the historic temple at 7 o'clock. Of course, would love to see everyone there. And I think that's all that I have. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Zeri. Any questions for Ms. Zeri? Highly recommend going to the service tomorrow. Fantastic at the historic temple. Thank you. And on to Mr. Eckert, I believe, said today. rather take the mic up here, Eddie? Or you-
No, I think I'm good. Good evening, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving. The historic town center remains our focus, but we do have a number of different things going on. We're continuing to examine the balance of commercial development throughout downtown and based on the things that the community has expressed, especially over the past year. Some of that is basic blocking and tackling. I've put together an accomplished restaurateur who I know is looking for space in Lake County with a property owner here in the historic downtown, and they've had a couple of conversations now. So we'll, I'm happy to help them as they need, but the facilitation has sparked, I think, something that has some good potential. So, I'll keep facilitating things like that. The other thing is continuing to work with the mayor on defining what the process looks like for different opportunities and fostering those here in the community. The third part of that is looking at infrastructure solutions. This involves planning, of course, bigger picture things like getting sewer down to 6 and 306. It also involves less exciting but equally important grant opportunities for instance, for the wastewater plants. So there's a couple of grant opportunities coming forward through ODOD that Mr. Fornaro, Mr. Courtney, and Mayor and I are exploring that are going to come available in the coming weeks. Also, I've been talking with the mayor about putting together a business fair sometime early spring after we get through our winter months, so we can have a fair at the community center and discuss needs with all the local businesses. So with that, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Any questions for Mr. Eckert? Thank you, Eddie. Much appreciated. Item Mayor Potter.
Thank you, Council President Smolik. I'll try to be brief, but I did want to thank everybody that came out for the senior and veterans yard cleanups. I know that's it's a big deal to a lot of folks, and it's pretty darn amazing to see so many people come out from different areas of our communities just to flat out help. So thanks to everybody that was there. This year I was not able to attend. I had a wedding in Ireland that my wife and I were at over the weekend. So, but thanks to everybody that stepped up and got that done. Thanks to Mr. Smolik for holding down the fort while I was gone. And as Mr. Lallo had mentioned, we had our police negotiations hopefully kind of wrapped up this evening. I want to thank Mr. Lallo, thank Mr. Slapnicker, and thank Chief McAllister for their hard work during this process. And I want to thank the representatives from the Kirtland Police Department who were not only fair, tactful, respectful, and we had a really good working relationship throughout the process. So thank them for their patience as we work through that, and happy to, I think, have that, kind of ready to move forward through council. Economic development, Eddie just brought up some of the things he's been working on, so we'll continue to do that. Thanks to all those that came out for coffee with council on Saturday. We had another 10 or 12 people here, I would say. So that's always good. So much appreciate anybody that's out there watching, listening, and council people. Don't forget to remind folks that you run into that it's a good opportunity to, is a very kind of informal way to have discussions with council people, myself, and department heads as they make themselves present. We did forget to talk about the joint meeting for the P&Z and BZA. Denise, it's typically after a zoning meeting. How have we done that before as a council meeting? I forget.
Well, typically it is after a council meeting, but planning and zoning, all of the members would not be available on the 17th. The 15th is, I believe, Martin Luther King Day, so council would not be meeting.
Okay.
And Matt had suggested that there would be a possibility of even moving the council meeting to Tuesday and having that meeting following the council meeting, if that's acceptable.
Fine by me. It's up to council.
My calendar's clear.
Because I also think that typically every year, council will pass legislation setting forth the meeting dates for the next year. So, exactly. So I think that if we can get that joint meeting on the books and get that set, then we can potentially, if it can be moved to the 16th instead of the traditionally the 17th, that'll just accommodate more P and Z members, commission
That's
members.
January 16th?
Correct.
Yeah, everybody on council look at their schedules right now, make sure there's nothing on the 16th.
No, the 16th
16th.
is MLK Day, isn't it?
No, the 15th. January 15th is MLK. Yeah, Tuesday, the 16th is open.
Time would it start?
Normal starting time for council meeting, 7 PM.
That'd be fine. Yeah, usually, yeah. So follow directly afterwards with the joint?
Yeah, the joint meeting would be immediately following the,
That works here. Any opposition, or? Let's plan on that then, please.
Gotcha. All right, so, if we can make sure, we could contact P and Z, let them know to put that on their books for that date. I know they have a presentation and a fair amount of information ready to present to council for that date as well. And we'll make sure that's properly reflected in the next legislation as well that sets forth the meeting dates. So thank you for accommodating.
So it was Tuesday, January 16th.
Thank you.
So just to finish up, Mr. Council President, I did want to make special mention and thank you to Councilman Lowry, as tonight, unless this council decides to throw in a special or an emergency meeting between now and the end of the month, this will be his last meeting on this council. Did this in similar fashion in another meeting, but then Rich was gracious enough to step up over the last couple of years and fill in the spot when it needed to be filled in. And he's done exactly what he did his first time around. It's been a great voice of reason, been a tremendous person for me to bounce thoughts, ideas, and questions off of. So, Rich, thanks for all you've done for this community, the city government, and I know that you're not going away in the community, but I want to make special thanks. Thank you. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for Mayor Potter? Not at this time. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, on to standing committee reports. Council, pretty much, we cleaned up everything we needed to, Denise,
Yes.
on outstanding, okay. No standing committee meetings?
Was there a recommendation from utilities?
Yes.
You just want to acknowledge receipt of the
Mr. Hamer?
recommendation?
On the recommendation
We
of,
made the recommendation to go with Ohio Gig.
Okay, so what we'll do, now that council has received the recommendation from that standing committee, we'll have something on the December 4 agenda to authorize negotiations with them. Okay?
thank you, Mr. Lillo. Any other standing committees that needed to be set up? Not at this time. Thank you. Correspondence, is there any correspondence, Denise?
No.
Thank you. Do public comments on matters not on the agenda? Open it up to you. Nothing at this time. To old business. Public comments on the agenda items of old business. Not at this time. We're on second reading here. Do we want to clean this up for the new council, or just let it go to a third reading? Do we need to?
You ask me a question? I mean, yes, preferable, but not necessary, I don't think, right? But preferable, like you said, you have a new council person starting in a couple weeks here, and
Council, you want to go to third reading? Just do it on would have to be December 1st then, right?
It's fine letting it go.
Go ahead, waive the third reading.
That's fine.
Okay, motion.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
A second.
Mr. Fenstermaker, Ms. Grazia? Okay. Any questions?
Oh,
You got. You got to read it first. You got to read it first.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Ordinance number 23-0-67, thank you. Second reading, an ordinance amending section 254.065 of the codified ordinances of the city of Kirtland regarding sick leave transfers and declaring an emergency. Then, made a motion?
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second, Ms. Grazia?
I second.
Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Okay, now we need a motion to declare an emergency.
Motion to declare emergency. Second.
Rich and Matt? Any questions? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Thank you. New business, public comments on the agenda items of new business. Any public comments at this time? Okay, on to ordinance number 23-0-71, an ordinance creating Fund 214 to properly account for the receipt of funding relating to ARPA's first responder grants and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the 3 reading. Second.
Any questions? This has to do with the 60,000 or 20 and 60, 59,000
Yeah,
grants from last for.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, council had passed resolution 23R69 for the Ohio Ambulance Transportation Grant, and also resolution 23-R-70, which is the ARPA First Responders Recruitment, Retention, and Resilience Program Grant. So these are directly, this new fund is directly related to account for both of those grants.
Okay, thank you for clarification.
You mentioned that on your talk to us last meeting.
Yes.
Yes, that you
Yep.
create the account.
Louis,
Okay.
well, I'm sorry. Can I
Go
ask
right
a
ahead.
question?
Mr. Schultz?
If somebody already left the department, they're not eligible for back pay in this manner?
Yes, that's correct, but I would defer over to the fire chief.
That's correct. They had to be employed during the pandemic and still be employed today. If they left, they're no longer eligible.
Okay, did we have a motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Ziegler and Mr. Lowry? Okay, any questions, discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Need a,
Make a motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Mr. Lowry and Mr. Fenstermaker, thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance number 23-0-72, an ordinance amending ordinance number 23-0-60 relating to the appropriation for the year 2023. And that is it, correct? Okay. Any discussion?
Not motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion by Mr. Fenstermaker.
Second.
Ms. Grazia? Second. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
We didn't need a,
Motion to.
I don't think we don't need that, correct?
Motion to adopt.
Motion, okay. Motion to adopt by Mr. Lowry,
Second.
second by Mr. Fenstermaker. Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
To resolution number 23-R-73, a resolution requesting the county auditor to make advance payments of taxes pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 321.34 and declaring an emergency.
Motion to waive the three reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Louis, that payment would come in February? Is that typically when we see?
Yeah, we get 2 advances. One is in February, yes.
Any other questions? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Thank you. To ordinance number 23-0-74, an ordinance designating financial institutions as public depositories. Any discussion? Need a motion? Motion to waive.
Motion to waive the three readings and. No.
Motion to waive 3 readings. We'll do it that next. Okay. Mr. Lowry, second? You have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ziegler? Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
You need a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Mr.
Second.
Lowry? Mr. Fenstermaker? Any discussion? Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Schulz,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Ms. Grazia,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Okay, on to council comments. Any council comments?
Yes, President Smolik, I'd like to speak just for a few minutes, if I might. Being this my final city council meeting, first I'd like to thank our community for allowing me to sit in this chair for the last 6 years. It's been an honor and pleasure, and I really appreciate their support and certainly enjoy my time on council. Second, I want to thank all administration. I mean that sincerely. You have a very, very powerful team. Stay with it, keep focused, and please continue what we're doing because it's right. What we're doing is right. Continue focused on it. Mayor, great job. I think the city spoke about your abilities and what you need to do and what you will do going forward. So again, keep the train moving forward. And finally, majority of council, I thank you working with you and really do appreciate the teamwork, the camaraderie, and just working through problems. No matter what the community says, we're doing it right. You're doing it right. Continue to do that. It's been my honor and pleasure to working with, again, the majority of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Any other council comments? I would just like to thank Mr. Lowry for just being a fantastic councilman for 6 years total. Just somebody I've really respected a lot, always excellent to talk to, privately, discuss matters. Just probably one of the most decent people I've ever met in my life, Rich.
Thanks, Joe.
Any other council comments? Any continuing concerns? Oh, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? All in favor?